everyone. So if you are new to this channel, GR Insight is a place to get equipped with basic concepts and to get enough tips and tricks to get you through one of the most demanding tests, which is GRE. Now this video is the third part of data interpretation series. In the first part, we discuss a basic introduction about data interpretation. What exactly is data interpretation? What are the possible graphs that could be tested? And what are the possible questions which could be tested in each of the graph. In the second video, we perform some practice, and again in this third video, which is a continuation of second video, this again involves some practice for data interpretation, and you will solve 4 questions. Now let's move further without any delay. So this is our first question that involves 3 bar charts. And remember, as we discussed in the basic strategies of data interpretation, whenever we see a question, just take 10 to 15 seconds to get a generic idea about the graph. Just like in this question, first one involves average daily circulation for newspaper. Average daily circulation for newspaper. And the second one involves total yearly advertising revenue. So this is yearly advertising revenue for newspaper X. And third one is average number of pages per newspaper X. So this is all we need to know. And now let's move further to the question. Now let's see the first question. In how many ways, in how many of the years shown was the average number of pages per newspaper? So this is pages per newspaper. So let's talk about this graph. At least twice as much as the average in 1940. So what exactly is average in 1940? That is equal to 30. And the question asks that what are those years that have at least twice as much as the average. So at least twice as much mean that will be greater than or equal to twice of this, which is 30. So any average value that is greater than or equal to 60 will be our required answer. So if we see in these 5 years, 1940, 50, 60, 70 and 80, this is not possible, this is possible, this is possible, and this is possible. So that's why we have 3 years and for which the average number of pages per newspaper is at least twice as much as the average in 1940. Okay, let's move further, and this is our answer. Now if we see this one, in 1950, if the printing cost per newspaper was $0.05, so for 1950, the cost per newspaper printing is how much? Is $0.05, and this is per newspaper. So now the question asks, what would be the total cost of printing the average daily circulation? So if I want to get the total cost, I need to multiply this with total newspaper, which is we get from the first graph, that is average daily circulation for newspaper. And if we multiply with that, newspaper we cancel out and we get the possible answers in dollars form. So question asks for 1950, that is 470,000. So 0.05 into 470,000, 1010 raised to power 3. And now if you move further and just solve this, so this will be 5/100 into 470 into 10 raised to power 3. So this will be cancelled out and the answer will be option C, which is $23500, right? So data interpretation is very easy, but remember one thing, ETS always loves to play with the units. So when you see such question, take some time and see clearly what exactly is a unit. Just like in this is per newspaper. So if I want to find the total dollars, so I need to multiply with total newspaper so that I can get the total dollar amount. And this is in our case average daily circulation, and we are provided with average daily circulation for newspaper X. Now let's move further. In 1980, the number of dollars of advertising revenue. So question asks for this. was how many times as great as the average daily circulation, and this is average daily circulation. Question asked for 1980. So the question asks total yearly advertising revenue for newspaper X in 1980, which is $36 million, which is 10 raised to power 6, is how much? So let's call this as X. Is how much time as great as the average daily circulation for 1980, which is 180,000 into 180,000. So just proceed further, and this will be 36 into 10 raised to power 6 divided by 180 into 10 raised to power 3 is equal to X. This means X will be equal to 3, this will cancel out, this will be 2, and this will be again 2, and in the final result is 200. So that's mean that, so this means that total yearly revenue, advertising revenue for newspaper X in 1980 is 200 times the average daily circulation for newspaper X in 1980. That's why the answer is option B. Now let's move to the fourth part. Which of the following statement can be inferred from the data? So this inferred mean we need to find the must be scenario, not the could be scenario. Okay, so indicate all possible options. So this is a multiple choice option question. Let's see the first one. The greatest increase in total yearly advertising revenue, asking about this graph, over any 10 years period was 27 million. We can see that. So what is the difference? 25 minus 7, that is less than 52 minus 25. The maximum distance in any 10-year period is 52 minus 25, which is 27 million, and that's why this is the correct answer. As the question asks the greatest increase in total yearly advertising, and the greatest increase is this one, 52 minus 25, which is equal to 27 million. Now let's see the next one. In each of the 10-year periods shown in which yearly advertising revenue decrease, so these decrease from 60 to 70 and from 70 to 80. Question asks average daily circulation also decrease. Yes, from 1960 to 1970 this decrease, and from 1970 to 1980 this also decrease. So this is right that whenever the total yearly advertising revenue for newspaper X decrease, there also decrease in average daily circulation for newspaper X. That's why this is also true, and this can be inferred. The last is from 1970 to 1980, the average number of pages per newspaper. So question asks about this graph now. Increased by 10, but from 1970 to 1980, there increase of 74 minus 70, which is 4. That's why this can't be inferred. So the possible answers for this are only option A and option B. So this was the first graph. Let's move further. This is a second graph, and in this question again, now let's take 10 to 15 seconds to get an idea. So what is it is provided to us? Percent return on shareholder equity. So this is percent return, not the actual person. Remember, ETS always trap you with changing words. So in this here provided percent return on shareholder equity. ETS code, just like the question in the last we did, which is about the inference what we inferred from the graph, and it is just changed one word and the whole statement got wrong. That's why at the start be sure and be very clear that what is it is provided, just like percent return on shareholder equity. And first one is for the manufacturer X, and second one is the all United States manufacturers, and these are years and these are percent return, and that's all we need to know before moving further. So let's see the first one. If the shareholder in manufacturer X has 100 million in equity in 1987, asking for manufacturer X and this is 15, 16, 17, this is 18%. So 18% return on shareholder equity. Then the dollar amount of shareholder return on equity is 18% of total. So what is 18% of 100? That is 18. So that's why there is $18 of $18, which is our required amount, and that is the shareholder return on equity, and that is option B. Now let's move further. In 1986, asking about this, X return per dollar of shareholder equity was approximately how much greater than that of United States manufacturer? And there is one thing we need to think in this. We are given X return per dollar. So that's mean we are provided with only $1 right now. So for the percent return of manufacturer X, that is equal to 20%, and this is equal to around 15 and 15.5%. And the question asks X return per dollar. So if dollar is 1, so if dollar is $1, so $1, 20% of $1 is $0.2, and 15.5% of $1 is $0.15. So question asks that how much this is greater than this. So just take the difference of both, that will be 0.2 minus $0.15, and this will equal to $0.045, and that's why our required answer is option E. And just like in this question, if we miss one part, that is X return per dollar, we will get this whole question wrong, right? Okay, so read question very clearly, what exactly is unit in this question and how can you proceed. Okay, let's move further. The answer is option E. Now this is third part of same graph, the decrease in percent return on shareholder equity for all United States manufacturers. Now question asks for United States manufacturer from 1987 to 1988. Let's see what is the decrease. So this is 8, 10, 11, 12. So this whole is 1 unit. So this will be around 12.5%, and this is 8%. And what is difference between them? 12.5 minus 8 and this is equal to 4.5%. So there is a decrease of 4.5% units. And this was approximately how many times the decrease in percent return on shareholder equity for all United States manufacturers. Again asking for all United States manufacturers from 1985 to 1986. Now let's see, this is 15, 16, 17, 15, 16, 17, and this is around 15.5%. So what is difference between these two? Difference will be 17 minus 15.5, which is equal to 1.5%. And the question asks the percentage decrease in this value from 1987 to 1988, that is 4.5%, is how many times? It's how much of the, so let's call this X of the percentage decrease in units from 1985 to 1986 for all United States manufacturer, and that is 1.5. So what will be X? That is 4.5 divided by 1.5, and that is equal to 3. That's why the answer to this is option D. Okay, let's move further. Okay, so this is fourth question. For the years shown other than 1987, in which the percent return on shareholders' equity for manufacturer X was most nearly equal to that of 1987. So this statement is a bit tricky. Let's try to understand this. The question asks, in which of the year the percent return for manufacturer X is nearly equal to that of the percent return of manufacturer X in 1987. So for better understanding, let's write that down in percentages. So this is around 16.5%, and this is around 18%, and this is 20%, this is 19%, and this is something around 19.5%. So if we see closely, we can see that for 1985, the percent return for manufacturer X is very much close to that of percent return of manufacturer X in 1987. So we have get the first part, and that is 1985. The question asks, what was the percent return for all United States manufactured in 1985? So what is that question asked about this? So what exactly is this? This is 15, 16 and 17%. So that's why the answer to this is option D. So all you need in this question is to understand the question, and this question stem is a bit tricky. And just like if you see again, the question said for each for the year shown other than 1987, in which the percent return on shareholder equity for manufacturer X was most nearly equal to that of 1987. So other than 1987, we need to see other 4 years, and we need to find that which are the following year have percent return for manufacturers which is closest to that of 1987, and that is year 1985. Now we have figured out that year. Just the question asks that what is the percent return for the same year 1985 for all United States manufacturers, and that is equal to 17%. That's why D is the answer. So this is the fifth question for the second graph, which asks which of the following statement can be supported by the data in the graph. This is a multiple choice question. First one is the percent return on shareholder equity for all United States manufacturers decreased from 1984 to 1988 by less than 10 percentage points. We can confirm that this is around 15, 16, 17.5%, and this is around 8%. So the difference between them is less than 10%. That's why this option is correct. Let's see the next one. A return on shareholder equity for more than 7% was achieved by each United States manufacturer in 1988. Now this is a bit tricky. The issue in this question says that by each United States manufacturer, but we are provided as a general value for all of those, but not for each. There is a difference between these two. As for 1988, the percent return on all United States manufacturers is around 8%. So there could be a scenario if we consider two manufacturers, one is getting 10% and one is getting 6%. So if they take the average, this becomes 8%, and just like in this. But the question asks that a return on shareholder equity of more than 7% was achieved by each United States manufacturer in 1988, which is not true. So question asks that each of the manufacturer has more than 7%, but we have considered one scenario and proved that wrong. If we consider, for example, only two manufacturers, one is getting 10%, another is getting 6%. So if we take the average, that becomes 8%. So that's why this is not possible. Now let's see the last one, and this is the most common and the option which is getting wrong by most of the student, and that is the shareholder equity for manufacturer X was greater in 1987 than 1988. So there is an issue in this. The issue is the question asks for equity, the shareholder equity, but we are provided percentage return of equity, not the actual percentage of equity. That's why we can't have any solid answer for this. So there's only change one word, and let's make this whole stem wrong. So whenever you see data interpretation, and most usually in the inference question, in the must be or could be type question in which there are multiple choice option, there's a change one word and make the whole stem wrong, and most of our students just got that wrong. Okay, so the option is on answer is only option A. This is a third graph for today's practice, and again, as a strategy we discuss, let's take 10 to 15 seconds to get a generic idea. So we have on x-axis thousand of students, on the y-axis and one side that is tuition income and other side that is investment income. So we don't have any idea right now. So first read the note, and remember when you see any note, please read that note very clearly, because most of the time the very important aspect of the data interpretation graph is provided in that note, and if you miss that note you will get your question wrong. Now let's see, on the above diagram each 15 colleges, so there are 15 colleges presented by circle and a dot. The light green read against the green scale on the left, so this left read against the green circles, and that includes the college annual gross tuition income in million of dollars, and the black dots can be read around by the right scale, and that gives the college annual income, and again that is in million. That's all we need to know. So the takeaway is never miss the note. Now let's see the first question. If the tuition income, this one, at a college exceeds its investment income, then the college is said to be tuition driven. Okay, how many colleges shown there who were tuition driven in 2008? So if our amount, tuition income amount, is greater than the investment income amount, so this will be tuition driven. So let's see what are the possible. So for this one, for this one, for this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are 7 colleges which are said to be tuition driven because their tuition income is greater than the investment income. So that's why the answer is option D. Next one. The college that is drawing the most investment income in 2008. So which are the colleges getting the most investment income? That is this one. Takes in approximately how much in mean total income per student. So actually we need to find the mean. That will be total income divided by total number of students. So what is total income? That is tuition plus investment. So this amount is around, for example, 650, around middle, 650 plus, and this is around 180, and this is in million, and divide this by total number of student, and that will be around 4,000. So if you just solve this question, and you will get option E as the required answer. Okay, let's move further now. So for the 15 colleges shown, the graph support which are the following statement. Okay, now let's see the 3 statements. Tuition income is positively correlated with the student enrollment. So that's mean if tuition income is increasing, the student enrollment is increasing. And yes, that is right, because there is an increase in tuition income and there is an increase in number of students. So that's why this is true. Next thing is investment income is negatively correlated, and that is also right, because there is decrease in investment income and there is increase in number of students. So that's why this is true. Let's see the last one. All colleges with over 20,000 students. So that's mean you need to see on the right side of this 20,000. Students have less than 500 million in investment income, and that is wrong, because this one has greater than $500 million in investment income. That's why this is not possible. So only possible options are option A and option B. Now this is the last graph, and this is a tricky graph. So again, the strategy we discussed, just get a generic idea in 10 to 15 seconds. So we have provided results of sample of votes in district X. We have 10 voter identification number, and there are 5 candidates. Now let's see the note. The graph will show a sample of 10 different voters voted for 5 different candidates. Each voter vote for either 1 or 2, but not more than that. The 2 candidates receiving the most votes were winner. The sample constitute 5% of those in district who voted. So whatever that is the total amount, that constitute 5% of total who voted. And the number of votes in district for each candidate, asking for each candidate, was in same proportion as number of vote in sample for each candidate. Now this is again tricky thing. This point explains that just we see in candidate P there are 5 votes. So for candidate P, 5 vote will be the 5% of total votes that candidate P get. Likewise, this holds for Q, R, S and T as well. So there is 2 main points. First point is whatever total votes are, that represent 5% of the actual votes. And the second point is for each of the candidate, for this sample, whatever the voting are, that represent 5% of actual voting for each of these candidates. So these two are very important takeaway. And now let's move further. First one is how many people in the sample voted for both winners. As we see, when we see the note, it states that there are only 2 possible winners which get the most of the vote. So most of the vote gotten by P having 5 votes and S having 6 votes. So there are 2 winners, P and S. The question asks how many people in sample voted for both. So this one and this one. So 2 and 10 both voted for both winners, which is P and S. That's why the answer is option B. The next thing is what percent of the sample voted for at least one of the 2 winners. This is a bit tricky because this involves a Venn diagram concept. How this involves the Venn diagram concept? Because both winners are P and S, and there's a scenario that same voter vote for both. What are total votes casted for candidate P in this sample? That is 5, and for S that is 6. And there are 2 scenarios as discussed in the first question that gave vote to both of these. So both are 2. So this only vote casted for only candidate P, that will be 5 minus 2, which is 3. And for S that will be 6 minus 2, which is equal to 4. So the question asks that what percent of sample voted for at least one of 2. So if we add these, 4 plus 2 plus 3, which is equal to 9. So out of 10, 9 voted for at least one of the 2 winners. So total percentage will be, total is 10. 9 voted for at least one of 2, and take the percentage, that is equal to 90%. That's why the answer is option E. Now this is the question asked that how many votes were cast in the district X. So it says that there let's see the total amount: 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So this sample includes 18 votes, and as written in the note, this represent 5% of the actual data set, of the actual votes, and we're asked to find that, and that is equal to 18 divided by 5%, and this will give our required answer, which is option D. Now let's see this. In district X, the candidate T received how many more votes than candidate Q? So T received 1, 2, 3, 4 and Q received 2. So boom, the answer is 4 minus 2, which is 2. That is A. But wait a minute, this is wrong. The reason is, in the last two statements, the question the graph itself states that whatever the actual vote are gotten by each of the candidate in this sample, that represent the 5% of vote for each of a candidate in the actual data set. So that's why 2 is not the answer, but the actual answer will be 5%. This 2 will be the 5% of the actual votes, and that's why our answer is 2 by 5%, which is equal to 2 by 5 into 100. So this will be equal to 40. So candidate T received 40 more votes than candidate Q. So that's why, just remember one thing: whenever you see any data interpretation question, just take some time at start and read the note very clearly. Just like in this question, if we miss the note, we will get this question wrong. That's why I am again stressing on that point. Take some time and read the note very carefully.